Evening all, how's it going? Chris Graham here for Wheel of Bet, looking at Stats Chat this weekend. Another Stats Chat video this weekend. What is Stats Chat? Well, it's basically me picking 5 games taking place this weekend that exhibit very strong stats and trends that may point us in the right direction of a bet this weekend. It seems to be that you either like this kind of stuff or you hate this kind of stuff, and people that hate this stuff tend to tell me on Twitter that they hate this stuff. I'll give you a clue: don't watch the video. Anyway, the stats last week never really did us any favours really, but one thing that did catch my eye, and maybe you noticed it, the 13th consecutive time Notts Forest played Huddersfield, one team scored exactly 1 goal in that fixture. It harks all the way back now to 1998 was the last time a team failed to score exactly 1 goal in that Forest Huddersfield fixture. Anyway, I digress. That was last week. This is this week. 5 matches, 5 fixtures. Talking about 3 from England, 2 from Scotland. Charlton against Middlesbrough is the first game in the Championship. This game is all about the overs. The overs, people. 21 goals in the last 5 matches. Last 5 times these sides have come up against each other. Lots and lots of goals. 4 of the last 5 times it's gone over 3.5, including the last 3. So when Charlton playing against Middlesbrough, usually in the last 2-3 years there's been lots of goals, over 3.5 the last 3 times. Will that be the case again? Who knows? If you're a trends man, you'll get involved with the overs in this particular fixture. Also from the Championship, Bolton against Reading taking place. I like this stat. The last 13 times these sides have played each other, there's been a winner in the game. They don't do draws, these two sides, when they come up against each other. It doesn't happen. There's always a winner. And in fact, it's always usually pretty tight as well. 9 of those 13 times those games were won by the odd goal. So always quite a close fixture. But there's never a draw really. In fact, the last time, I had to wind it right back, the last time there was a draw in this fixture was a 1-1 draw on November the 2nd, 1991, when the sides were playing in Division 3 in England, the 3rd tier. Phil Neal and Mark McGee were the managers then. Mark McGee and Reading. Phil Neal, who was later completely embarrassed in the Graham Taylor documentary The Impossible Job a few years later. Phil Neal was manager of Bolton. It was also the same week that Brian Robson retired from international football, and the country rejoiced as U2 knocked off Bryan Adams from the top spot. Adams, of course, has spent 16 weeks at number 1, which remains to this day, 22 years later, the longest running number 1 hit when it comes to consecutive weeks at number 1. 16, that's yet to be beat, 22 years on. Anyway, game 3, Mansfield against Exeter. We talked about overs in the Charlton Middlesbrough game. I'm talking about unders in this game. 8 goals, just 8 goals in the last 7 matchups between these sides. There's been 4-1-0 wins and a 0-0 in that list. Under 2.5 the last 7 times. What a really strong trend that is. Will it happen again at the weekend? Over under 2.5 the last 7 times Mansfield and Exeter have taken each other on. Interesting stuff. 2 from Scotland now in the new Scottish Premiership. What a rubbish name, eh? Ross County at home to Partick Thistle, the newly promoted Partick Thistle. Ross, very strong record against Thistle, unbeaten in 8 against the Maryhill side. Played 8, won 3, drawn 5, lost 0, but crucially the last 3 times these sides have played, Ross County have won. So Ross with a very strong recent dominance over the Jags, and will that continue at the weekend? Who knows? In the final game on this week's Stat Chat, another Scottish game, another game from the top flight in Scotland. Kilmarnock against St Johnstone. St Johnstone are the team in form here, unbeaten in 8 against Killie. Played 8, won 5, drawn 3, lost 0. So strong dominance there from St Johnstone against Kilmarnock at Rugby Park this weekend. Okay, let's wrap up the 5 games. Charlton against Middlesbrough, I would the recent trend suggest overs. Bolton against Reading, there won't be a draw in that game. Mansfield Exeter, go under in that game. Ross against Partick, Ross, and Kilmarnock against St Johnstone. That's this week's Stat Chat. Good night.